Orange cats are chaotic, black cats bring bad luck, calico cats have an attitude, and Siamese cats never stop talking. We have heard these beliefs for years, but can the color of a cat really reveal its personality? Science shows that a cat's coat can tell us fascinating things about its genetics, biological sex, and sometimes even its health. But its behavior is far more complicated, so what does each color truly mean? Let's begin with perhaps the most misunderstood of them all, the black cat. What comes to mind when you see a black cat? For centuries, these animals have been surrounded by contradictory beliefs. In some cultures, they represent good fortune and protection. In others, they have been unfairly associated with bad luck, mystery, and even witchcraft. But science tells a very different story. A black cat is not a particular breed. Many different breeds, as well as mixed breed cats, can have completely black fur. Their dark color comes primarily from a pigment called eumelanin, the same general type of pigment responsible for brown and black coloring in many mammals. For a cat to appear solid black, it normally needs genes that produce dark eumelanin and suppress the lighter bands that create the familiar tabby pattern. However, that pattern may still be hidden underneath. This is why some black cats reveal faint ghost stripes when standing in bright sunlight, especially when they are young. Sunlight can also break down some of the pigment in their fur, temporarily giving it a rusty or reddish brown appearance. The cat is not changing color genetically. The visible pigment is simply being affected by light. And what about personality? Black cats are sometimes described as calm, affectionate, or unusually intelligent, but researchers have found no convincing evidence that black fur creates a particular temperament. Personality develops through genetics, early socialization, individual experiences, health, and the environment in which the cat lives. Unfortunately, human superstition can still influence how black cats are perceived, and sometimes whether they are adopted. So their coat may reveal something fascinating about pigmentation, but it cannot tell us whether the cat is friendly, distant, playful, or shy. And that difference between myth and genetics becomes even more surprising when the coat changes from black to orange. When dark eumelanin gives way to orange, feline genetics takes a far more surprising turn. Orange cats are famous on social media for being affectionate, mischievous, clumsy, and sometimes hilariously chaotic. But the real secret behind their coat is much more interesting than the jokes. Their color comes from pheomelanin, a pigment responsible for red and yellow tones. In 2025, scientists finally identified the genetic mechanism behind orange fur. A small deletion in DNA changes the activity of a gene called ARHGAP36 inside pigment-producing cells. This causes those cells to produce orange pigment instead of black. The most fascinating detail is that this genetic variation is located on the X chromosome. Male cats have only one X chromosome. If that chromosome carries the orange variation, the cat will normally be orange. Females have two X chromosomes, so they generally need to inherit the variation from both parents to become completely orange. This explains why orange males are much more common than orange females. If a female inherits the orange variation on only one X chromosome, something remarkable can happen. Different cells activate different X chromosomes, creating the mixture of orange and dark patches seen in tortoiseshell and calico cats. Orange cats also display some form of tabby marking, even when the stripes are extremely faint. Look closely at the forehead, legs, or tail, and the hidden pattern often becomes visible. But does any of this make them more chaotic? Some surveys show that owners frequently describe orange cats as friendly, bold, and affectionate. However, scientists have not proven that orange pigment produces a specific personality. Their behavior is influenced much more by socialization, environment, life experiences, and possibly the fact that so many orange cats are male. So the orange coat can reveal the cat's pigment and genetic inheritance, but not how many brain cells it has. And while orange is created by producing a particular pigment, the next coat can result from something very different, preventing color from appearing at all. That brings us to the white cat. The white cat may look as if it carries a pale pigment, but in many cases, white is not really a color. It is the result of pigment being blocked or never reaching the fur. Several genetic mechanisms can produce a white coat. One of the most common involves the dominant white gene, associated with a gene called KIT. This genetic effect can hide every other color and pattern the cat inherited. Underneath its white coat, the cat may genetically carry black, orange, or even tabby coloring. We simply cannot see it. White cats are commonly perceived as quiet, calm, shy, elegant, and somewhat distant. In one survey, people considered them less active and less bold than cats of other colors. However, another study involving actual cat owners produced a different picture. Those owners described their white cats mainly as friendly and bold. This suggests that their delicate appearance may influence how strangers perceive them, while the people who live with them often discover a more affectionate and confident personality. Their coat can also reveal something important about their health, especially when they have blue eyes. The cells that carry pigment into the fur and eyes are also important for the normal development of the inner ear. When these cells are missing, structures inside the cochlea can degenerate, causing congenital deafness in one or both ears. In a study of 132 solid white purebred kittens, approximately 30% had some degree of congenital deafness. The risk was higher among kittens with 1 or 2 blue eyes, although this does not mean that every white cat with blue eyes is deaf. A white cat's limited response to sound can sometimes be mistaken for a distant personality when it may simply be unable to hear. White fur can therefore reveal an extraordinary connection between pigmentation, perception, and hearing. And when black pigment is not completely blocked but simply becomes lighter, another familiar coat appears: gray. From white, we move to a color that is actually black in disguise: gray. In feline genetics, gray is commonly called blue, and it is not produced by a separate gray pigment. These cats genetically produce black eumelanin, but a recessive variation in a gene called MLPH changes the way pigment granules are distributed through each hair. Instead of spreading evenly, the dark pigment forms irregular clusters. This allows more light to pass through the hair, making black fur appear soft gray or bluish. A kitten normally needs to inherit this dilution variation from both parents for the gray coat to appear. The same genetic effect can transform other colors as well. Black becomes gray or blue, while orange becomes a much lighter shade known as cream. Gray cats are often considered quiet, calm, observant, and independent. In one study, owners generally described them as bold and calm, although they also received the highest scores for being shy, aloof, and intolerant compared with other coat colors. These descriptions may appear contradictory, but they have created the reputation of a cat that can be confident in its surroundings while remaining selective about attention and interaction. Some gray cats belong to famous breeds such as the Russian Blue, Chartreux, or Korat. However, gray is a coat color, not a breed, and it can also appear in cats of mixed ancestry. The dilution gene explains their beautiful smoky color, but gray coats do not always appear completely solid. Look closely, and some reveal stripes, spots, or swirling markings. Those markings lead us to one of the oldest and most recognizable feline patterns of all, the tabby. Among all cats, few patterns are as familiar as the tabby. Many people think tabby is a specific breed, but it is actually a coat pattern that can appear in cats of almost any breed. From domestic cats living in homes to some of the most recognized feline breeds, the tabby pattern is one of the most common in the world. Its characteristic stripes, spots, and swirls are created by a complex interaction of genes that control how pigment is distributed through the fur. One of the most important genes involved is called TACPEP, which helps determine whether a cat develops classic stripes, swirling patterns, or spotted markings. The reason this pattern is so common goes back to evolution. The stripes of wild cats provided camouflage, helping their ancestors blend into their surroundings while hunting or avoiding danger. Tabby cats are often described by their owners as friendly, playful, curious, and full of personality. Because this pattern is so widespread, tabby cats have developed a reputation for being adaptable companions that easily become part of the family. There are several types of tabby patterns. The classic tabby has large swirling markings on its sides. The mackerel tabby has narrow stripes similar to a tiger. The spotted tabby has small spots instead of lines. And the tick tabby has a more uniform coat with almost no visible stripes. One fascinating detail is that almost every tabby cat carries a small mark on its forehead that resembles the letter M. Many legends have tried to explain this symbol, but genetically it is simply part of the pattern created by the distribution of pigment. The tabby coat is a perfect example of how genetics can create beauty through simple variations. And when those patterns combine with two different colors, orange and black, the result is one of the most unique coats in the feline world, the tortoiseshell cat. Among all feline coats, few are as unique as the tortoiseshell pattern. Unlike cats with a single solid color, tortoiseshell cats have a beautiful combination of black and orange patches that create a pattern almost like a living painting. Some have large areas of color, while others display a mixture of tiny patches throughout their fur. The secret behind this unusual coat is found in genetics, specifically in the X chromosome. The gene responsible for orange fur is located on the X chromosome. Female cats have two X chromosomes, while males have only one. During the development of a female kitten, each cell randomly turns off one of its X chromosomes. This process, called X chromosome inactivation, causes some cells to produce orange pigment, while others produce black pigment. The result is the incredible mosaic pattern we see in tortoiseshell cats. Because this pattern requires two X chromosomes carrying different color instructions, almost all tortoiseshell cats are female. Male tortoiseshell cats are extremely rare and usually have an extra X chromosome due to a genetic condition known as XXY. Tortoiseshell cats are often described by their owners as confident, independent, energetic, and full of personality. Many people who live with them say they have a strong character and a very expressive way of communicating. Their unique appearance has even inspired the term tortitude, a nickname used by cat lovers to describe their supposed bold attitude. Whether playful, affectionate, or a little stubborn, every tortoiseshell cat is a reminder of how extraordinary genetics can be. And when the orange and black colors are joined by large areas of white, another fascinating pattern appears: the calico cat. When white joins the orange and black colors of the tortoiseshell pattern, the result is one of the most recognizable coats in the feline world, the calico cat. At first glance, calico cats may look similar to tortoiseshell cats, but there is an important difference. While tortoiseshell cats are mostly a mixture of black and orange blended together, calico cats have large, separate patches of white, orange, and black. The reason behind this pattern is a combination of two genetic processes. The orange and black colors are controlled by the X chromosome, just like in tortoiseshell cats, but the white areas come from another genetic factor that blocks pigment from reaching certain parts of the fur. This creates a unique pattern in every calico cat. No two calico coats are exactly the same, making each one a one-of-a-kind design created by genetics. Because calico coloring requires two X chromosomes with different color instructions, almost all calico cats are female. Male calicos are extremely rare, and like male tortoiseshell cats, are usually born with an extra X chromosome. Calico cats are often described by their owners as confident, independent, playful, and very expressive. Many people say they have a strong personality and a unique way of demanding attention when they want it. Their colorful appearance has made them symbols of good luck in some cultures, especially in Japan, where the famous waving cat figure known as Maneki Neko is often inspired by a calico pattern. And when those same patterns are paired with a completely different genetic effect that changes the way color is distributed across the body, we discover another fascinating coat, the black and white cat. When white appears alongside black fur, the result is one of the most recognizable patterns in the feline world, the black and white cat, often called a tuxedo cat. Unlike cats with solid colors, this pattern is created by a gene that affects how pigment-producing cells spread throughout the developing embryo. The cat is not receiving a black and white color gene. Instead, the white areas appear because some pigment cells fail to reach certain parts of the body while the kitten is developing. The amount and location of white markings can vary greatly. Some cats may have only a small white patch on the chest or paws, while others can have large white areas covering much of their body. Every pattern is unique. Tuxedo cats have gained a reputation for being elegant, intelligent, playful, and confident. Their name comes from their appearance, as the white chest and paws often resemble a formal suit worn with a black jacket. Many owners describe them as social, curious, and affectionate companions. They are often seen as cats that enjoy being part of the family and exploring everything around them, but beneath that charming pattern is a fascinating example of how small changes during development can create completely different designs in the animal world. And while black and white cats get their unique appearance from the distribution of pigment, another famous cat gets its color from a completely different process, one controlled by temperature. This leads us to the Siamese cat. Few cats have a coat as recognizable as the Siamese. With their light-colored bodies, dark ears, face, paws, and tail, Siamese cats look almost as if they were carefully painted, but their unique appearance is not created by a simple color pattern. It is the result of a fascinating genetic mutation. Siamese cats carry a special version of a gene called TYR, which affects the production of melanin, the pigment responsible for dark colors in the fur. This mutation creates what scientists call temperature-sensitive albinism. The interesting part is that the enzyme responsible for producing pigment works only in cooler areas of the body. The warmer parts, like the center of the body, remain light, while the cooler areas, such as the ears, face, paws, and tail, become darker. This is why Siamese kittens are born almost completely white. Inside their mother's warm body, their fur does not produce the darker pigment. As they grow and their extremities become cooler, their famous points gradually appear. Siamese cats are often described by their owners as intelligent, affectionate, curious, and highly social. They are known for forming strong bonds with their families and for being very vocal, using different sounds to communicate what they want. Elegant appearance and expressive blue eyes have made them one of the most recognized cat types in the world. The Siamese coat is a perfect example of how genetics can create something that seems almost magical. A cat whose colors are shaped by the temperature of its own body. From black and orange pigments to hidden patterns and temperature-controlled colors, every feline coat tells a story written in DNA. If you enjoyed uncovering the secrets behind the world around us, subscribe to Discovery Why for more fascinating stories explained through science.